Season was a tough one for the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. They won just one game in conference play and struggled defensively. In 2025, they're looking to turn things around, and they plan on doing so with a new head coach at the helm. Trey Lamb comes to Tulsa from East Tennessee State, where he led the program to their first winning season since 2021. Before that, he spent 4 years at Gardner-Webb, where he led the Bulldogs to back-to-back Big South Conference titles. We are back here in Charlotte. Maria Tribal Peace, Rini Ngolia, Lige Duzable, and the head coach of the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, Trey Lamb. Now, Coach, as we just mentioned, you made a couple different stops on your coaching journey, but what was it about Tulsa that made you say, this is where I want to be?
Yeah, I think, I worked at a place here close to Charlotte, Gardner-Webb, smaller institution, private school, very similar to what Tulsa has right now. And we got a small fan base and a small student body, so there were a lot of similarities. And Justin Moore, athletic directors, knew there. I really liked him. He's a guy I really want to follow, and I think he's going to be a rock star in this business. And I think there's potential there. There's been a lot of great coaches at Tulsa. When you go through the history, they've had great winning seasons. Now we got to bring some consistency back to that.
Coach, I'm always interested just to hear from coaches that are play callers as well. What goes into that decision when you become a head coach to continue to call the plays on offense? I know you brought in Brad Robbins as an offensive coordinator, but what went into that decision for you to continue to call the plays?
Yeah, it's just I'm not ready to give it up yet.
I love you being honest about it.
It would kill me to be on the sideline and watch somebody else do it.
Yeah.
I think I'm really good at it. It's one of the things I'm good at. I really trust my defensive coordinator. He's been with me for 5 years.
Yep.
I really trust my special teams coordinator. I worked with him for 3 years. So they can take those sides of the ball and run with it and allow me to do my thing. The hardest part for me is obviously I got to make sure I build relationships with our defensive players. And I try to go out on a limb to spend more time with those guys because I'm not around them quite as much.
Coach, you're one of 6 new coaches in the American this season. When coaches take over programs or new programs, you always hear culture, right? Change the culture. I heard you talk recently, talked about process. To me, very similar, right? The process is kind of changing the culture.
Yeah, no question. I think, I work for an AD who really groomed me and helped me understand that, champions behave like champions long before they become champions. And I know that's a Bill Walsh quote, and that's coach speak, but I really do believe that. Guys that do things the right way, go to class, execute in practice, execute in the weight room are going to be the same guys that help you on third down. If we can just take care of ourselves and take care of Tulsa first and not beat ourselves, the wins are going to come. I truly believe that.
Coach, I want to talk about somebody on your staff, because you just talked about culture, right? Ryan Switzer was a guy that was with the previous staff. Why was it important for you to retain him on your staff?
He's a werewolf in recruiting. I mean, that's just call it what it is. When he goes to Dallas, he played for the Cowboys for 3 or 4 seasons. When he goes to Dallas, he kills it. And his receiver room is really talented, probably the most talented room on the team. I feel very good about what we have coming back there. I didn't want to lose those guys. And Ryan's a great coach. He's only been coaching for 2 years. Reminds me a lot of myself. He was the interim when they fired Kevin Wilson towards the end of the season. And I think Ryan's got a great future ahead of him. I hope we can hold on to him for a few years. We also retained Dominique Franks, who played at Oklahoma, also played in the league for 5 years. It was important for me to get Texas and Oklahoma ties because I'm from the Southeast, and really have never coached out there.
Coach, talk about the team a little bit, and also, Tulsa the last few years hasn't performed the way you'd want them to, or Tulsa fans have wanted to. I'm old enough, I've been around. Tulsa was a 10-win season. They've been there, 10-win program. You got a lot of young players. Good skill base. I know offensive line you got to work on, but you bring back Kirk Francis, Chris Thompson. I know they're sitting here. A lot of stability. What do you think about your team going into this season in this camp?
I really like the togetherness and connectivity we have. It's really hard to put a team together in 8 months.
Yeah.
We brought in 36 transfers and 20 new high school players, so there's 56 out of 105 are new. So our strength coach has done an unbelievable job of just creating discipline, creating connectivity, putting these guys in vulnerable situations so they get to know each other. And we got to have a great training camp. We got to stay healthy. But we've had a heck of a summer, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I've never been more excited to coach a team than this one. It's my 11th year in coaching, 6th as a head coach, and this team just feels a little different. And I hopefully we can retain some guys and keep bringing them back. And the consistency is what's been lacking. Todd Graham won 10 games.
Yeah.
Steve Crackthorpe won 10 games. I mean, Tulsa used to kick the crap out of Houston and SMU.
Yeah.
I mean, that was not that long ago. So there's promise there. We know we can do it. Right now, we're the little brother, and we're going to play with a chip on our shoulder. We're going to be an underdog in every game. We're going to be picked last, and I kind of like it that way.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, let's talk about your quarterback. He's here as well. Really enjoyed calling some Tulsa games last year. Freshman, former walk-on. But to me, he never played like a freshman. Poised in the pocket. is a better athlete that people give him credit for. What have you seen from Kirk Francis since you've been here and his growth now that he's your starter from a leadership standpoint?
I felt like Kirk had a lot of tools. I felt like when I got here, Kirk lacked confidence. He's been through multiple play callers. He's been in and out of the lineup. Kirk needs some consistency in his game, and I'm going to give that to him. I believe in him. I think he's a good player. I played the position. I know what it's like coming in and out, having new coaches, new coordinators. He needs some consistent play calling, consistent playing time. He's had 9 starts, and he's won 4 of those. Yep. And I don't know if you checked, but Tulsa's only won 6 games in 2 years, so 4 of those Kirk's won. And 2 as a true freshman walk-on is really hard to do. So I like his moxie. Let's just call a spade a spade. His offensive line was terrible last year. We've tried to bring some bigger guys in that can protect him and some faster guys to throw it to.
Now, Coach, I want to go back to what you just said right before that about this team being a little bit different. What is it about them that makes them different?
I think we're going to play with a chip on our shoulder more so than some of the teams I've had in the past. At Gardner-Webb, we had some good teams, but we were kind of picked first a couple times and picked to finish first in the league or top 2, you know. And even at ETSU last year, I think we were picked 3rd or 4th, and we're going to be like 13th or 14th this year going into the deal. And these guys understand what's at stake. They know we got to get good and get good fast, and they brought me here to win quickly. And, I mean, this is not a rebuild. I feel very strongly we can do that.
And on that point, the ever-changing landscape of college football and the portal, it's fascinating because for fan bases, you could be rooting for a team that won 2 or 3 games, but 36 new players in the portal, I mean, new coach, you can literally do a 180 and turn it around in 1 year. Is that the way you feel?
There's no question, no doubt about it. I know it's frustrating for fans, and it's frustrating for people who follow college football because it's hard to keep up with who's where, who's at what school.
Correct.
For us, too.
It's really hard for you guys. It's hard for the media. It's hard for the NFL. The NFL scouts, it's just tough. It's hard for coaches.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what Abilene Christian is going to roll out there with game 1, but I think it makes you focus on what you have.
Yeah.
And trying to create an identity. How many teams do you see run one offense one week and then all of a sudden it looks like a totally different system the next? We've got to make sure we stay within our systems, both sides of the ball, let our guys go play fast. And I truly believe we play good at quarterback. We don't turn it over. We keep him protected. We got a chance to win some games. I would be shocked if we're not in a bowl game.
Coach, as a defensive lineman, we got to talk some defense. You talked about Josh Reardon and how you've been with him multiple years, Gardner-Webb, East Tennessee State as well. What can we expect on that side of the ball with Josh Reardon at the helm as defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I took my time with that hire when I got the job because, you're facing Army and Navy, so you got to have a guy who can defend the triple option, has done it before, and he did it in the Southern Conference, and he coached at Connecticut at UConn in this league. For 3 years on defense. So he coached the secondary at UConn. He knows how to defend the triple option. So I wanted to make sure I got a guy that did that, but also really wanted a guy I could trust. And I sat and talked about it with, my mentors, my dad, my granddad, and they were like, man, you guys played great defense at East Tennessee State last year. In your last couple of years at Gardner-Webb, you played championship defense. Why do you need to change just because you're stepping up in class? And the more I thought about it, I really like the way he handles the defense. I like the way they run to the ball. He's simple, but also he has enough tricks in his tools to make it complicated for the other quarterback and the opposing offenses. So I feel really good about him and what we got going.
Talked about the youth on your roster, and this question goes for you, but it really goes for every program out there. It's got to be frustrating when you bring youth in, you recruit it, you develop it, right? And then the portal's just sitting there. We heard Commissioner Pernetti talk about, the window right after the season. It just drives you nuts. I guess my question is, what's the key to developing that talent, but keeping that roster retention?
Well, you don't put them on any all-conference list. No, I'm just kidding. I think, look, relationships matter to an extent. Every coach is going to say that. But if a guy's getting offered $1 million, we're not going to keep it. So
correct.
My thought is let's go get the guy playing at Abilene Christian and pay him $100,000 that they can't pay. So it's just a farm system a little bit right now, and that's okay. Yeah. Look, football's not broken. People are talking about college football's broken. We're in a little bit of an issue right now. I think it's going to, regress back to the mean. I think you're going to see some of this agency stuff go away, and hopefully we can get our hands around it. But look, kids are still kids. I still get to coach 105 guys on Saturdays, and that's what brings me joy. I like it.
No doubt.
Coach, we talked about Kirk Francis. Let's talk about the other player that's here, Chris Thompson. He was a guy that was a veteran that's been there before. How important was it, one, for him to be retained here, but then also talk about him being able to lean on a guy like that that's been at Tulsa, that knows what, the the city's about, the culture's about there as you try to turn this thing around and get into winning culture?
Yeah, he's been completely bought in since the day I got here, and that's hard when you get a new coach and a guy that, you don't know him from Adam. I don't know him, but we really hit it off pretty quickly. I saw Chris as a leader within the first week I was here, and I was like, man, that guy's going to be a team captain. Duncanville High School, stand up. He was a phenomenal 4-star recruit out of high school. This is kind of college football story. He signed with Auburn as a DB, transfers to Southern Cal, and now he's at Tulsa as a linebacker. So you got two completely different college football stories sitting over there, which I think is pretty cool. You got a walk-on from Tulsa, and then you've got a 4-star from probably the best high school football program in the country in Duncanville. So really cool stories for both those guys.
How cool is it for you to have those different stories on your roster and kind of mesh that together to go and try to win football games?
It's really cool. And football is the ultimate team sport, right? And you got guys from different backgrounds, single-parent homes, but you also got guys that are buying their sons Range Rovers. It's been like that since the beginning of time, and that's not going to change. It's the greatest team sport because that same guy has to depend on the other guy to do his job and to execute, and that's never going to change. And guys with different backgrounds, walk-ons, transfers, guy maybe a 5-star from Ole Miss, 6'8", 320, our right tackle Cam East, but he's also competing with a guy that was recruited to Tulsa as a 2-star. Once you get to the campus, you can only commit to one school, and once you get that competitive edge, you were going to play the best guy, period.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time. We're really excited to watch you and the Tulsa Golden Hurricane compete this season.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Rain Kane.
Let's take a look at the schedule that the Golden Hurricane has coming up. As you mentioned, Abilene Christian to start things off. And now we talked about the guys over at the desk. Hannah Brady is going to tell more of those cool stories that Coach talked about.
Thanks so much, Maria. I'm here with quarterback Kirk Francis and linebacker Chris Thompson Jr. Guys, just welcome to the Players' Desk. First and foremost, you guys are the first ones to kick it off here at the Players' Desk. Just first, how has it been being in Charlotte, and just what's your overall experience so far with American Football Media Day?
We're having a wonderful experience. We're around our head coach. I'm around my quarterback, so we're having a wonderful time. Charlotte's a nice city, so it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I've never been to Charlotte before, but I'm loving every bit of it so far. Getting to hang out with CT and Coach Lamb, it's been a great experience.
And then I heard you guys got to hit a little BP yesterday on the baseball field. Did you guys get any home runs?
It was actually my first time swinging a bat, so it was a good outing. I hit 2 balls, so I had a good time.
Yeah, it's safe to say it's good we play football.
Speaking of football, Kirk, I want to start with you, but your 3rd season with Tulsa, obviously you just heard your head coach Trey Lamb talk, but you bought into the vision that he's painting for this program. What is it about him and maybe Tulsa that made you decide to stay and continue growing with this program?
Yeah, so, as soon as Coach Lamb got hired, he kind of painted a picture of what he wanted it to look like. And Tulsa's the city that I'm from, the city that I love, and it's where I want to be. And initially, Ryan Switzer kind of talked to me. He wanted me to stay, and we started talking with Coach Lamb, and it was a no-brainer decision. There was no choice but to stay. I love both those guys, and I'm really excited for what they have for us.
And then, Chris, for you, you had a stint at Auburn as well as coming from USC, and then you just heard your coach just talk about how grounded and how bought in you were from the first day he got here. What about him made you so hungry to stay at Tulsa?
Coach Lamb has a look in his eye. He's a dog, and then he has a track record. He wins everywhere, so it was no-brainer to stay here. Yeah.
And then he was talking about the culture, obviously a lot of new transfers coming in, a lot of new young faces. How do you guys get this team rallied together, and what do you see the identity shaping up to be as you approach the upcoming season?
Yeah, I think that started in the weight room with our strength coach, Joey Garasio. It started in the winter, running and lifting. And I think that, we have a great group of guys like CT on the defensive side of the ball that are leaders. On offense, we've really rallied together around one common vision. And, I think it's safe to say that we have a great, really strong core of guys that are leaders. And, that's just kind of propelled everyone else up.
And then, Chris, I want to ask you, we just talked about leadership. Being a graduate student, do you take on that leadership as you propel into this season?
Yes, ma'am. It's not hard for me to take on a leadership role because it's a lot of young guys that I know look up to me and they want to be successful. So, I want guys to lean on me and to depend on me. So it's pretty easy to take up that leadership role.
Let's talk about both sides of the ball. I want to start with you, Chris. We talked a little bit about defensive coordinator Josh Reardon, but what does he bring to the table and how does he fit to the piece of the puzzle that Trey Lamb is building?
Coach Reardon, he wants to win. He wants to win as well, and he's a great leader. We look up to him, and his defense is NFL scheme. So, you know, it's easy to, you know, follow him and look up to him as well.
And then Kirk also, I mean, Coach Lamb calling his own plays on the sideline for the offense. How is that, having him there in your ear and being the head coach, but also calling the plays for the offense?
You know, it's great. We have a great relationship, and we've built that off the field. So I think there's a lot of trust between us. He trusts me with the football, and I trust that he's going to get us into the right looks. And then our offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, Brad Robbins, does a great job with us in the meeting room and on the field. And, you know, we have a ton of weapons this year that I'm really excited about.
He talked a little bit about consistency with you. How have you been working on that as you prepare for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think it's just being consistent in everything you do. You know, trying to take it one day at a time. Throughout the winter, it was getting stronger. In the spring, it was learning the playbook and getting familiar with all of our players and our coaches. And, you know, I think everything we do is just trying to be consistent and grow and to be better every day.
You talked a little bit about you guys being the little brother and playing with a chip on your shoulder. What does that mean to you guys as you head into the season? Obviously a tough schedule moving forward, but just what does that mean to you as you continue your play?
Yeah, you know, I feel like that's kind of how I've been my whole life. You know, I didn't have any offers coming out of high school. I initially walked on to Tulsa and was able to earn a scholarship, but I think being picked 14th in the conference is the best thing for us. I think we see that as a good thing, and we kind of wear that with a chip on our shoulder.
Yeah, we love it. We've been getting after it in the weight room. And when you're back against the wall, you have no other way but to go forward. So we love it. We take on a challenge.
And obviously an American Conference championship is the end goal. How does Tulsa get there? What are the ways that this team achieves that goal?
Yeah, I think like Coach Lamb said, just Tulsa doesn't beat Tulsa. I think that we need to limit, you know, stupid turnovers, penalties initially. You know, we have a great non-conference schedule this year, a lot of tough challenges that will prepare us for, you know, the later months of the conference season. And, you know, we have a really good schedule. And I think the American Conference is one of the hardest G5 conferences in the country. And, you know, you see something different every week. It's really a challenge every week. And there's no cupcake games.
I mean, obviously, every game is a great game. But do you guys have a certain game scheduled on your calendar that you're looking forward to or that you're excited about?
We take every game the same way. We don't want to overlook or underlook anybody else, so we take every game the same.
Yep. I think for me, just the first one, you know, getting back out there with the new team, new guys, new coaches.
Well, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Players Desk. Best of luck this season, guys.
Thanks, Hannah.
All right, thank you.
Maria, back to you.